Do what?
Go and sit in that coffin down there.
Oh, they're not so bad off.
Robert Mitchum spent decades working alongside some of the biggest names Hollywood has ever known. But when he looked back on his life at 80, it wasn't the awards, the blockbuster films, or the fame that mattered most. Instead, he reflected on 6 people who left the deepest mark on his heart. Join us as we take a closer look at the 6 people Robert Mitchum loved most and the lasting impact they had on his life. John Wayne. When people hear the name John Wayne, they usually think of one thing first. They picture the fearless cowboy riding across the American West, or the determined war hero standing his ground in one of his many classic films. For decades, Wayne built a reputation as one of Hollywood's toughest leading men. His deep voice, confident walk, and commanding presence made him larger than life. To millions of moviegoers, he seemed almost impossible to intimidate. He looked like someone who never doubted himself and never backed away from a challenge. That was the image almost everyone knew. Robert Mitchum knew that version too. Before they became friends, he saw John Wayne the same way everyone else did. Wayne's reputation filled every room before he even walked into it. He was already one of the biggest stars in the world, and many people expected someone with that level of fame to keep a certain distance from others. It would have been easy to believe that such a famous actor might surround himself with important people and ignore everyone else. Instead, Mitchum quickly discovered that the real John Wayne was very different from the public image. Away from movie cameras and red carpets, Wayne was relaxed and easy to spend time with. He did not seem interested in acting like the biggest person in the room. Mitchum was surprised by how naturally conversations flowed with him. There was no pressure, no feeling that you had to impress him, and no sense that he expected special treatment because of who he was. That surprised Mitchum because Hollywood often worked differently. Fame could easily create distance between people. Some actors built walls around themselves as their careers grew. Others became difficult to approach or surrounded themselves with people who constantly praised them. Wayne never seemed interested in living that way. One of the things Mitchum admired most was how Wayne treated everyone with the same level of respect. It did not matter if someone was another famous actor, a studio executive, a lighting technician, or a young crew member just starting out. Wayne spoke to people as equals. He never acted as though someone's job determined how much attention they deserved. That quality stood out because it was not always common in the film industry. Movie sets were filled with people working long hours under pressure. Everyone had an important role, but not everyone received the same level of respect. Wayne understood that every person contributed to making a film. Mitchum noticed that he never made people feel unimportant. His personality away from the cameras was also much calmer than many expected. Audiences often imagined him as the loudest voice in every room because of the powerful characters he played on screen. In reality, he was comfortable simply sitting with friends, sharing stories, joking around, or listening while others spoke. He did not need to dominate every conversation to leave an impression. For Mitchum, this made Wayne someone people genuinely enjoyed being around. There was no pressure to perform or pretend. Friends could simply enjoy each other's company without worrying about Hollywood status or public image. More than anything else, Mitchum remembered Wayne's loyalty. Hollywood was known for changing relationships quickly. Careers rose and fell. One successful movie could create new friendships, while one failure could make people disappear. Many relationships depended on success, popularity, or influence. Mitchum understood that reality better than most after spending decades in the business. John Wayne was different. If Wayne considered someone a true friend, That friendship did not disappear when times became difficult. He did not turn away from people because their careers slowed down or because public opinion changed. His loyalty stayed the same regardless of circumstances. Mitchum believed that kind of loyalty was one of the rarest qualities anyone could have, especially in Hollywood. Fame could attract many people, but genuine friendship was much harder to find. Wayne proved through his actions that he valued people more than their success. That meant more to Mitchum than any award, famous role, or box office record Wayne ever achieved. One particular memory stayed with Mitchum for years because it showed exactly who Wayne really was. After a long day of filming, a small group remained behind talking after everyone else had gone home. The conversation slowly shifted away from movies and toward life, family, and growing older. It was not an important event that made newspaper headlines. It was simply a quiet evening among friends. During that conversation, Mitchum noticed something unexpected. Wayne spent much of the evening listening. Instead of trying to lead every discussion or tell endless stories, he paid attention to what everyone else had to say. He asked questions, listened carefully, and allowed others to speak. Mitchum realized that Wayne's strength was not only found in the characters he played, but also in his ability to make other people feel heard. That ordinary evening became one of Mitchum's favorite memories because it revealed the real man behind the famous image. Years later, he found himself remembering that simple conversation more than any glamorous Hollywood event they had shared. For Mitchum, that memory represented what truly mattered. Long after movie premieres were forgotten and blockbuster films became history, it was the quiet moments with genuine friends that remained. When Mitchum looked back on the people he loved most, John Wayne earned his place not because he was one of the biggest stars Hollywood had ever produced. He earned it because he was loyal, respectful, approachable, and sincere. Behind the fearless cowboy the world admired was a man who valued friendship, treated people with kindness, and remained true to himself throughout his life. Next came someone whose kindness left an equally unforgettable mark on Robert Mitchum's life. Deborah Kerr. When Robert Mitchum thought about Deborah Kerr, he did not immediately remember one of her famous performances or a particular movie they made together. The first thing that came to his mind was much simpler. He remembered her smile. It was not the carefully practiced smile actors often used for photographs or public appearances. It was warm, natural, and welcoming. It made people feel comfortable the moment they met her. For Mitchum, that smile represented the kind of person Deborah Kerr truly was. She was one of the finest actresses of her generation, but what stayed with him most had nothing to do with awards or critical praise. It was her kindness. Hollywood introduced Mitchum to countless talented performers during his career. He worked alongside people who were admired all over the world. Many possessed incredible acting skills, but Deborah stood apart for a different reason. She carried herself with quiet grace without ever making others feel less important. That combination was much harder to find than talent alone. From the very beginning, Mitchum noticed that Deborah treated everyone with genuine respect. It did not matter whether she was speaking to another famous actor, a director, a makeup artist, or someone working behind the scenes. Every person received the same attention and the same courtesy. She never behaved as though certain people deserved more kindness simply because they held important positions. For Mitchum, that spoke volumes about her character. Hollywood could often become a place where status mattered too much. Success sometimes changed the way people behaved. The more famous an actor became, the more distant they could become from everyone around them. Deborah Kerr never allowed that to happen. Even after becoming one of the industry's biggest stars, she remained exactly the same person Mitchum had first met. Fame never seemed to affect how she viewed herself or how she treated others. She did not expect special treatment, and she never acted as though her accomplishments placed her above anyone else. Mitchum admired that deeply because he understood how difficult it could be to stay grounded in Hollywood. Constant praise, public attention, and professional success could easily change someone's personality. Deborah somehow managed to avoid that trap. She stayed humble throughout her career, and people noticed. Film sets were often busy places filled with pressure. Long working hours, changing schedules, and demanding scenes could leave everyone feeling exhausted. Tempers sometimes flared, especially when productions ran behind schedule or problems appeared during filming. Deborah had a way of making those difficult days easier. She brought calmness wherever she went. Her positive attitude often changed the atmosphere around her. Instead of adding to the stress, she helped ease it. Crew members appreciated her because she acknowledged their hard work. Fellow actors enjoyed working with her because she made collaboration feel natural instead of competitive. Mitchum believed those small actions mattered more than many people realized. A single kind person could influence an entire day's work. Deborah never needed to give speeches or demand attention. Simply by treating others with respect and showing patience, she created an environment where people enjoyed coming to work. That was one of the reasons she earned so much respect throughout the industry. Beyond the cameras and movie scenes, Mitchum also valued the friendship they built over the years. Some of his favorite memories with Deborah came during the quiet moments between takes. While waiting for the next scene to be prepared, they would sit together and talk. The conversations were rarely about Hollywood. Instead, they spoke about books they had been reading, places they hoped to visit, family, and everyday life. Those discussions felt honest because neither of them needed to pretend. There were no cameras recording them and no reporters listening. They were simply two friends enjoying each other's company. Looking back, Mitchum realized those ordinary conversations became some of his most treasured memories. Many people assume the most important moments in an actor's life happen on movie sets, while filming unforgettable scenes. Mitchum came to believe something different. The moments that stayed with him were often the quiet ones when people simply talked, laughed, and shared parts of their lives. Deborah made those conversations meaningful because she gave people her full attention. When she asked a question, she genuinely wanted to hear the answer. She listened carefully instead of waiting for her turn to speak. That made others feel valued, and Mitchum appreciated that quality more as the years passed. Another reason Deborah remained so special to him was her consistency. Hollywood had a reputation for changing people. Careers rose quickly, public attention came and went, and success often encouraged people to create different versions of themselves. Some actors became distant. Others carefully managed every public appearance until it became difficult to know who they really were. Deborah Kerr never played that game. The woman Mitchum met early in their friendship remained the same woman years later. She stayed polite, thoughtful, and genuine throughout her career. Whether she was filming a major production or attending a public event, she behaved with the same quiet confidence and kindness. That reliability earned Mitchum's admiration. The next person on Mitchum's list showed him that honesty could leave an even deeper impression than fame ever could. Humphrey Bogart. Long before Robert Mitchum ever got to know Humphrey Bogart, he already knew his reputation. Almost everyone in Hollywood did. Bogart had become one of the biggest stars in American cinema. His performances had made him famous around the world, and audiences admired him for playing strong, confident men who rarely showed fear. Whether he was solving crimes, standing up to dangerous enemies, or delivering sharp lines with complete confidence, Bogart always seemed completely in control. His screen presence was unforgettable, and many people believed the man behind those performances must be just as intimidating in real life. Mitchum understood why people thought that way. Before they met, he expected Bogart to be serious, distant, and perhaps even difficult to approach. His reputation suggested that he was someone who would command every room he entered. Many actors who reached that level of fame became surrounded by an air of importance, making it hard for others to get close to them. But after spending time with him, Mitchum realized those expectations were only part of the story. The real Humphrey Bogart was far more interesting than the public image people had built around him. One of the first things Mitchum noticed was Bogart's honesty. He did not waste time pretending to be someone he was not. In an industry where image often meant everything, Bogart refused to create a version of himself just to satisfy public expectations. He spoke his mind, shared his opinions openly, and did not worry about whether everyone agreed with him. That kind of honesty was rare. Hollywood often encouraged people to carefully manage every word they said. Public appearances were planned, interviews were controlled, and many stars tried to protect an image that matched what audiences wanted to see. Bogart had little interest in doing that. If he believed something, he said it. If he disagreed with someone, he was honest about it. He did not speak harshly simply to attract attention. He spoke directly because that was who he was. Mitchum respected that quality because it showed confidence without pretending to be perfect. During conversations, Bogart rarely tried to impress anyone. While others might tell stories about themselves or compete for attention, he often sat quietly, listening before speaking. Then, when he finally offered his thoughts, they were usually straightforward and meaningful. His words carried weight because he never spoke just to fill silence. Mitchum admired that. As he spent more time around Bogart, he began to see another side of him that the public rarely noticed. Behind the famous tough guy image was a generous and caring friend. Many movie fans only knew the hard-boiled detective or the fearless hero they watched on screen. They assumed Bogart was always serious and emotionally distant. Mitchum knew differently. He saw someone who cared deeply about the people closest to him. If Bogart respected someone and considered them a friend, that friendship meant something. He stood by the people he trusted and remained loyal to them through changing circumstances. That loyalty made a lasting impression on Mitchum. Hollywood friendships could often be unpredictable. Careers changed quickly. New stars appeared every year, while older careers slowed down. Some relationships lasted only as long as a successful movie or a popular trend. People sometimes stayed close only while it benefited them professionally. Bogart never seemed interested in friendships based on convenience. He valued honesty over popularity and loyalty over personal gain. That made him different from many others working in the industry. Mitchum believed that genuine friendships were among the greatest gifts anyone could have, especially in Hollywood. Bogart understood that as well, and it showed in the way he treated the people who earned his trust. The next person on Mitchum's list showed him that even the world's biggest star could hide a deeply misunderstood heart. Marilyn Monroe. Few people in Hollywood history became as famous as Marilyn Monroe. Her face appeared on magazine covers around the world. Her movies attracted millions of viewers, and her image became one of the most recognizable in entertainment. Decades after her death, people still remember the blonde hair, the bright smile, and the unforgettable photographs that made her an international icon. For most people, that image was Marilyn Monroe. For Robert Mitchum, it was only part of the story. Like everyone else, Mitchum knew Marilyn's reputation before getting to know her. The public saw a glamorous movie star, who seemed to have everything anyone could want. She was admired by audiences, surrounded by attention, and constantly in the headlines. Many assumed that someone so famous must also be happy. But after spending time with her away from the cameras, Mitchum realized there was another side to Marilyn that very few people ever truly saw. The woman behind the famous image was far more complicated. One of the first things that stood out to Mitchum was Marilyn's sense of humor. She could be incredibly funny when she felt comfortable. She enjoyed making people laugh and often became one of the liveliest people in the room. Her laughter was genuine, and she had a playful side that made spending time with her enjoyable. Those moments surprised people who only knew her from photographs and movie posters. She was not simply performing for attention. When she relaxed around friends, her personality became warm, witty, and natural. Mitchum appreciated those moments because they revealed someone very different from the carefully managed public image. At the same time, he noticed something else. Behind the laughter was a sadness that never seemed completely out of sight. Sometimes Marilyn could be laughing harder than anyone else, enjoying a conversation or telling jokes. Then, only a short time later, she would become unusually quiet. She would drift into her own thoughts, and the cheerful mood would disappear almost as quickly as it had arrived. Mitchum saw those changes often enough to realize they were part of who she was. He understood that people could experience happiness and pain at the same time. Marilyn's emotions often shifted quickly, and while the public mostly saw the smiling movie star, her friends saw someone carrying emotional struggles that few people fully understood. What affected Mitchum most was Marilyn's desire to be accepted for who she really was. Many people assumed she wanted endless attention because she was one of the world's biggest celebrities. Mitchum believed the opposite was true. She did not simply want admiration, she wanted understanding. There was a huge difference between the two. Millions of people admired Marilyn Monroe as an actress and as a symbol of beauty. Very few took the time to understand the woman behind that image. Mitchum believed she spent much of her life hoping someone would look beyond the fame and see her as an ordinary human being with fears, hopes, and insecurities. Hollywood, in his view, made that almost impossible. The film industry created an image that audiences loved, but it also trapped Marilyn inside that image. Producers, studios, photographers, and magazines all focused on maintaining the glamorous version of Marilyn Monroe because it attracted audiences and sold tickets. The real woman often came second. Mitchum believed that was one of Hollywood's greatest failures. Instead of encouraging Marilyn to simply be herself, the industry kept asking her to become the person everyone expected her to be. As a result, people celebrated the image while overlooking the person living behind it. One memory stayed with Mitchum longer than almost any other. During a quiet conversation away from cameras and reporters, Marilyn asked him a simple question. She wondered whether people would still care about her if she were not famous. At first, Mitchum found the question surprising. From the outside, it seemed impossible to imagine someone as loved and admired as Marilyn Monroe worrying about whether people truly cared about her. Millions of fans adored her. Newspapers followed every move she made, and studios built major films around her. Yet her question revealed something much deeper. It showed that fame had never erased her doubts. She wanted to know whether people valued her because of who she was, or because of what she represented. That uncertainty stayed with Mitchum for years. As he grew older, he understood her question even better than he had at the time. Fame could surround someone with attention, while still leaving them feeling misunderstood. Public admiration did not always create genuine human connection. That conversation changed the way Mitchum thought about Marilyn. Whenever he remembered her, he no longer thought first about the glamorous star millions admired. He thought about the thoughtful woman who wanted to know if she would still matter without celebrity. That private moment became one of the strongest memories he carried of her. One more lifelong friendship remained, and it became one of the most meaningful relationships Mitchum ever had. Jane Russell. Hollywood has always been known as a place where friendships can change quickly. People work together on one film, then move on to different projects. Careers rise and fall, new stars appear, and old faces slowly disappear from the spotlight. Because of that, many friendships in the entertainment world do not last forever. Some are built around work, while others fade as people's lives take different paths. Robert Mitchum understood this better than most. After spending decades in Hollywood, he met countless actors, directors, and producers. Some became close friends for a short time, while others drifted away as the years passed. That was simply how the industry worked. But every now and then, someone came into your life who stayed there. For Mitchum, Jane Russell was one of those rare people. Their friendship survived changes in their careers, changing times in Hollywood, and the passing of many years. No matter how long it had been since they last saw each other, the connection between them never seemed to disappear. That made Jane different from many people Mitchum met during his long career. She became one of the friendships he valued most. The first thing Mitchum always remembered about Jane was not her beauty, even though audiences often talked about it. It was not her successful film career either. It was her laugh. According to Mitchum, Jane's laugh was impossible to miss. It was warm, genuine, and full of life. It could easily spread across a room and immediately make people smile. There was nothing forced about it. She laughed because she enjoyed life and enjoyed being around people. That laughter became one of the memories Mitchum carried with him for years. Whenever Jane entered a room, the atmosphere seemed to change. Conversations became easier, people relaxed, and everyone felt more comfortable. She had a natural way of making others feel welcome without trying to become the center of attention. That was one of the reasons Mitchum always enjoyed spending time with her. Being around Jane felt easy. There was never any pressure to impress her or pretend to be someone else. She accepted people as they were, and that made every conversation feel natural. Another quality Mitchum admired was Jane's honesty about who she was. Hollywood often encouraged actors to create carefully controlled public images. Studios promoted certain personalities, magazines focused on appearances, and many stars felt pressure to maintain a version of themselves that audiences expected. Jane Russell never seemed interested in playing that game. She knew exactly who she was and felt no need to change, simply because she worked in the movie business. Mitchum respected that confidence. There was one final person whose place in Mitchum's life was deeper than anyone else's, and their story was unlike all the rest. Dorothy Mitchum. When people look back at Robert Mitchum's life, they often focus on the famous films, the unforgettable performances, and the larger-than-life image he built on screen. They remember the Hollywood star who became one of the biggest actors of his generation. But before there were movie premieres, magazine covers, and international fame, there was one person who was already part of his life. That person was Dorothy Mitchum. Unlike many of the relationships that began after success arrived, Robert and Dorothy's story started before Hollywood made him a household name. They met while they were still young, long before Robert became one of the industry's biggest stars. They built their relationship during years that were filled with uncertainty rather than fame. At that point, there were no guarantees about what the future would bring. In 1940, they married and began a life together that would last for decades. Those early years were not always easy. Robert was still trying to establish himself as an actor, and the future was far from certain. Like many young couples, they faced financial challenges and the uncertainty that came with chasing a dream. Dorothy experienced those struggles alongside him. She was there before the success, before the recognition, and before millions of people knew his name. That foundation made their relationship different from many Hollywood romances. As Robert's career grew, so did the pressures surrounding his life. Success brought attention, demanding work schedules, constant travel, and endless public interest. Hollywood had a reputation for placing enormous strain on marriages. Many couples struggled to survive the pressures that came with fame. Robert and Dorothy faced those same challenges. There were periods when his career reached incredible heights, making him one of the most recognizable actors in the world. There were also difficult moments, including personal controversies that attracted public attention and threatened his reputation. Throughout every chapter, Dorothy remained by his side. She did not disappear when life became complicated. She stood beside him during both success and hardship, proving that her commitment was not based on fame or public approval. That loyalty meant everything to Robert. Together, they also built a family while living under the constant attention that came with Hollywood life. Raising children while one parent was among the biggest stars in the world could never have been simple. Long filming schedules often kept Robert away from home, while public attention followed the family wherever they went. Dorothy became the steady presence that helped hold everything together. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us which of these friendships touched you the most. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.